Keller Williams Arizona Realty brings you Ignite 2.0, session number 9, A Day in the Life of a Real Estate Agent with Andrew Bloom.
Of a real estate agent, Ignite Spark 9. That's what today is. So on BVO for us, it's an 8:30 power up. And we're going to take the next few minutes, Jackie, if that's okay. And we're going to just show everybody at KWAZ how we power up. And if you want to start recording, it would probably be appropriate.
Yes, I just did actually before you said that. It sounded like it was going to flow into something amazing. So I just hit the button.
It is. So let's kick this Ignite class off with a day in the life of real estate. Tyson Barnhart, take it away.
Good morning, BVO and Keller Williams Arizona Realty. Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. We're going to have 3 questions today. We're looking for one person to share for each of the 3 questions. Then we'll jump right into the professional goals for the day. Who wants to share what they're grateful for? One person. That's all it takes.
I will.
All right.
I
gotta go to the dentist.
I am grateful for early morning starts and birds chirping and getting my body moving.
All right. Hey, Patricia, are you out there?
Yes, I am.
All right. I declare.
Our affirmation for today, which is May 18th. I declare breakthroughs are coming in my life. Sudden bursts of God's goodness, not a trickle, not a stream, but a flood of God's power, a flood of healing, a flood of wisdom, a flood of favor. I am a breakthrough person and I choose to live breakthrough minded. I'm expecting God to overwhelm me with his goodness and amaze me with his favor. This is my declaration. This is our affirmation for May 18th.
All right. Thank you, Patricia.
Welcome.
Does anyone have any big wins that happened over the weekend that they want to share?
I've got one. I'm under contract on a purchase in Central Scottsdale on place. So it's going to be a rental for me. So I'm pretty excited about that.
All right.
I do.
I got one.
Really exciting. I was nominated by the 5 Dolls to compete for Man of the Year. They selected 12 Keller Williams agents, men, to compete at the 5 Dolls Men of the Year. 5 Dolls was started by 5 of really the top Keller Williams women in the company. I mean, unbelievable. They own market centers. They run the #1 top teams in the company. And I got a call from Wendy Papasan yesterday morning, and the whole idea was to surprise the 12 men to see who could jump through hoops and meet the goals or some of the challenges that were set. And so we're competing this week for this title. And I was on a Zoom call yesterday with about 25 people that are all in Gary's Top 100 group. And it's when the honor and privilege to be in this organization, right? And from every level, whether you're brand new like Thomas, coming right into the real estate business, or you've been around for 25 years like me, every day it's an opportunity for massive growth and being around incredible people. And I'm just so grateful for it. And some people don't know how incredible the opportunities are that we have in this organization, because you just don't know any different. I can tell you this is the right place to be if you're wanting to live a life of abundance and a life of time. So I'm grateful for that.
Great. Does anyone else want to share? I heard a couple other voices.
I got one. A few. I had a great weekend. Super busy all weekend. And for the second time in its long storied career, we have Los Gatos under contract. And we're pretty excited about that. And then Gene and I had a super great showing up over at Cowboy Court, which has been a little bit challenging. get people to actually see it and like it and appreciate it for what it is. And I think we found a great person for it. So that's what I have.
Great. All right, last question. Who had a challenge that they would like to share with the group over the weekend? It's got to be one challenge.
I'll share.
All right.
My challenging buyers that are buying a new build with Taylor Morrison, they had a couple glitches with their system, and they always seem to fly off the handle. So I told them not to touch anything else, just leave everything alone, and that I will handle things on Monday. And so I told them anything that they get in that wasn't right, just send it to me. Well, Sunday afternoon, Taylor Morrison's team came in because they realized their system had a glitch. And so I didn't have to do anything this morning because they reached out to them, fixed the problem, canceled all the duplicate applications, and my clients, calmed down, didn't go through all the negativity that they normally go through. And she texted me this morning and told me, thank you for helping them to stay calm. So that's a big win for me.
That's awesome. Hey, on that, let me share one thing. I had 2 weeks ago, I had a client that I've had for years and years and years, 25 years, called me 2 weeks ago and said, I want to re-landscape my backyard. Can you refer me to somebody? So I referred her to Liz Martin, my landscape architect and designer. So then my friend called me and said, hey, Liz came over. I'm so happy. She was amazing. She came up with all these plans, but I'd like your advice and your opinion. Would you mind stopping over sometime and having a look at what I want to do? I said, no problem. Last week I went over to her house. She says, this is what I want to do to the backyard, and then this is what I want to do to the inside. And I said, all that sounds really great. I'm a little concerned about you putting all this money into this house in this neighborhood. I don't know that you're going to get it back. I'd love for us to go out next week and just look at some other houses, give you some other ideas. I don't want you to buy anything. I just want you to take a look around. You've been in this house for 8 years. Well, yesterday she bought a new home, Taylor Morrison, $800,000, and she's texted me all day yesterday. She's giddy. She's brought her family over to the new home development to see it. She can't believe she's doing it. She's so excited. She just can't even believe it, right? So that was, I don't know, it's just awesome. And Tyson, don't be bashful. Don't be bashful. You had a successful week, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a little bashful. I'm good. Had a pretty good week. We have 4 minutes left of the power-up call to respect everybody's time. We want to stick to the 15 minutes. I'm going to go down the list, and we're going to share one professional goal for the day that you would like to get accomplished. Jean, you're up first.
I need to find a home for a buyer out on the west side. I was out all day yesterday. Very low inventory. So it's going to be challenging, but
all right. Dina?
Wow, professional goal. I have so many.
Just one thing.
To organize my time.
I like it. Ambika, am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, you did. My goal is fill out the financial, update my financial that are on command, and Jackie's been working with us on that.
All right. So. Andrea, Chris Miles, and Dan.
For today, I'm going to work on my farm. I'm going to focus on the condo complex that I live in, and also where I have my home that's under contract.
All right. Mr. Miles, we'd like to share today. How about Dan?
Okay, I see something. This week, my goal is gonna really focus by my buyer a house. I lost 2 bedding during the weekend because buyers in San Francisco. I was working with another Keller Williams agents in San Francisco. So we had a hard time. So I hopefully will close the deal this week.
All right. Eric?
Hi, yeah, I would like to set up an open house for next weekend. That's my goal, set up an open house Saturday or Saturday and Sunday.
Great. Gigi, Greg, and James.
I have a listing appointment, woohoo, on Wednesday. So I'm going to be working on that today and tomorrow to try to perfect it. And I'm super excited.
All right.
I'm going to catch up on all my tasks. I have about 126 right now in command.
All right. James, Carrie. Jump on in.
Okay, I'll go. I just want to learn how to do more things in command and practice doing comps on the MLS.
Melissa, Makisha, Patricia.
Good morning, everyone. I have a listing going live tomorrow, so I'm going to work on that and get it in the MLS. And I have tons of business things to do today, but I'll just share that one.
All right.
Well, I have 4 probate leads I need to follow up on, so this is part of my drip with them, so I'm following up with them on that.
Good morning. I'm going to follow up with all my open house guests that stopped in over the weekend.
All right. Peter, Sue, Thomas. There's 2 Thomases.
I'm going to try to get Cowboy Court under contract today.
There you go.
Will get Cowboy Court
There you go.
contract today.
Yes,
I'm gonna
I
try
will.
and get. I'm going to try and get on Andrew's schedule. We've got to get our virtual open house up and going for our Palo Verde listing.
They're trying to do right.
All right, we have 2 Thomases. Let's get both of them. All right, Tori.
I'm showing 15th Drive for the 3rd time today, and 3rd time is the charm to get it sold. So that's what I'm going to do.
All right. Travis, Victoria.
I am getting an open house set up for this weekend, and I've got some issues with command that I need to get resolved today.
All right. Travis.
I got some lead gen stuff I'm setting up today. That's what I'll be working on.
All right. Anybody I missed? People that were on mute?
Yeah, I'm going to work on my 3 big rocks today. My own purchase. I have a listing appointment Tuesday. I want to have the paperwork ready. We're in DocuSign, so all I have to do is shoot an email during the meeting, and she can just check everything off. Then I have another listing that need to help with getting the house in order and get estimates for some improvements.
You guys catch what he said? My 3 big rocks? I thought that was really good. Anybody else? All right, so for the people that don't know, we usually document today's goals so that we then revisit them at 3:30 on our afternoon call to see how everybody did. We have Vince Lombardi today on our quote. It's put in the chat line. It's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up. Make it a great day, everyone.
Thank
Awesome.
you, Ethan.
Thank you. So for anybody that wants to stick around for the next hour or so as we go through Ignite Series 9, the day in the life of a real estate agent, I think you're all welcome to stay. And if you've got somewhere else to go or something else to do, feel free to do that. And if you're but stick around because it's going to be a power-packed hour.
Love it. Thanks for including us on your power up. That was amazing, and I think the perfect kickoff to this Ignite session. And, you know, one of the reasons, Andrew, that we were so excited to have you teach this particular session was because you are someone that truly lives and breathes the life of what a successful real estate agent looks like, and you act on it. And you guys, I don't know if you follow him on Facebook or not, but you're going to see and hear as he talks about his time block. This man is up before the sun rises. He starts his day in a powerful way, and it just carries through and translates to running one of the most successful real estate groups in our office. So you're going to learn a lot of great things from Andrew, and we are super excited to have you lead this session for us today.
Thank you, Jackie. Great. Well, let's rock and roll. Do you you control those slides, or do you want me to?
Whatever is easier for you, and if you see one and you want to pull them down and just talk to the gallery of people, I'm okay with that too. So really, it's your call.
Okay. I can pull them up.
Okay.
Either way. So let me get into it
right
here, and I'll pull up the slides, and we'll get underway. First off, I want to pick off today with my affirmation. Several of you have never heard it. And if anybody else has an affirmation that they would like to share, actually, let's do that first because I don't want to intimidate anybody with mine. So does anybody have a daily affirmation that they would like to share with the group? Jackie, do you have one?
I have some mantras. I wouldn't necessarily call them affirmations, but I can and I will is definitely a big one that's repeated for me all the time. And my favorite quote mantra is, "She believed she could, so she did." That's fine.
Anybody else? Anybody else want to share an affirmation?
I am kind and I am generous and I will lead with love.
That's for sure. Anyone else? Okay. Well, good morning, KWAZ. My name is Andrew Bloom, and I am bold. I'm a loving husband. I'm a great dad, and I'm a successful real estate professional. I'm energetic, honest, and disciplined. I treat people with respect and compassion. I'm healthy, I'm happy, and I am generous. I will commit each day to doing my personal best and to bring passion and integrity to each of my relationships. I have gratitude for all people and things around me. I am the best at what I do, and each day I look for ways to improve who I am so I can benefit others. My success is not an accident. My actions are intentional. My relationships are real. I'm Andrew Bloom, and I am number one. Yes! Woo!
Yes, you are.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you want to be a successful real estate agent, you have to act like a professional real estate agent. Like if you want to be the best that you can be and you want to manifest the most amazing life possible, then you've got to commit to doing the activities, and you've got to be obsessed with what you're doing to a point where other people are intimidated and bothered by your habits. When you start offending your friends because you say no more often than you say yes, that's okay. When your dreams are so big that you're not going to let other people hold you back, that's when you grow. For those of you that got to listen to Michael Jordan this morning with DavidMorse sharing the Michael Jordan story, he was very clear. He wasn't on the basketball court to make friends. He was on the basketball court to win, right? Nothing was going to get in his way. And if you were with him, you were with him. And if you weren't with him, you weren't playing, right? And I mean, you know, so often we are concerned about how other people think about us or what they feel. The truth is, when your goal is so big, when your dreams are so big and you believe in it so much that nothing's going to get in your way, you become unstoppable. And guess what? You end up attracting people that share the same big dreams and goals that you do. And the ones that don't share the same big dreams and goals that you do, they just get left behind. That doesn't mean that you don't have a relationship with those people, but you'll find a tribe. You'll find a tribe at any level of your success, right? And you're not going to find that tribe. People are not going to want to associate with you if you're distracted, right? If your focus isn't to win championships, then you're not going to surround yourself with people that want to win championships. You've got to be obsessed with what you're doing. Be a maniac on a mission, right? And it's, sometimes it takes getting that first check, that first commission check, to sort of light a little fire in your belly. But at the end of the day, you can accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish so long as you're so committed to your dreams and goals, right? Really, really important. All right, Dina, she's so funny. She said, thank you, Dina. Dina was sending me, I got to find Jackie's email, piece of cake. Where's Jackie?
Oh, it's JAC. I think the I threw it off. There you go. I can always send it too.
Oh, I have it. I just need to find it. What did I do with it? Why am I in this? Hang on. I've just got too many things on my
Hey, do you want Jackie just to run the screens? That might be the best option.
Oh,
I can do it if you want, but whatever's easiest.
There it is. Oh. How come this isn't?
It's right there.
Where? Right here? No, that's not it.
Yeah, I put it in there in the calendar invite. So I think you should be able to. There you go.
Oh. All right. Let's kick this thing off. Let's get this party started. This is a very easy course for me to teach and talk about. What successful agents do every day. Success leaves clues, right? I mean, it's really true. When you read books from successful people, you're learning about their behaviors, their habits, how they think, what they eat, how they behave, their relationships, and what they do. So it's really important to make sure that the mentors in your life are playing at a high level, right? And, Kristen Cole taught me this several years ago. The mentors in your life don't even need to know that they're mentoring you. You don't have to have a relationship with them. They don't have to know you by first name. You could think of a lot of things in history where there's a lot of mentors biblically that, we really aspire to share their values or their, the way they conduct themselves. But certainly you've never met these people in person, right? So that's really important. So this first slide here, what successful agents do every day, they grow their businesses and they run their businesses, right? And the important thing with this is that you've got to be obsessed with it. Like, it's just, if you want to settle for mediocrity, then what ends up happening is you're trapped in this industry. You're trapped in this business because the continuity of what you do is so important. I hear people all the time that say, I'm not interested in doing open houses, or I'm not interested in circle prospecting, or I'm not interested in door knocking. Well, here's what happens. When you have a listing, you have a fiduciary responsibility. It's impossible to skirt those fiduciary duties. And one of the fiduciary duties that you have as the listing agent is to sell the home, right? That's one of the fiduciary duties. And if there are activities that we know leads to a successful outcome, but we choose not to do those activities because it's not in alignment with our schedules or our core values or our habits and our behaviors, then are we really providing the highest level of fiduciary care to our client, right? As if the fiduciary duty that you have to your business isn't enough. As soon as you have a responsibility to somebody else, the fiduciary duty becomes even more important, right? Like, I always felt that I had a fiduciary duty to my family, that I had a fiduciary duty to put food on the table, that I had a fiduciary duty to show up every day. And what strengthened that responsibility was the moment I had a client. As soon as I had my first client, it was like, okay, I have a listing. My responsibility is to sell that listing. I could sell that listing by lead generating. I could circle prospect, I can door knock, I can hold open houses, I can run ads online, I can call other brokers, I can let them know about the listing. I can call agents from out of state and introduce myself and let them know I've got a listing and build a relationship there with another agent from another state. So all of these things just become, they're really who we are, what we're all about as real estate practitioners, right? It all evolves around this language of fiduciary care, right? And treating your business with fiduciary care, treating your behavior and your habits with such a high level of fiduciary duty, right? Michael Jordan had a fiduciary responsibility to be the best that he could be, right? He was his own fiduciary in that sense, right? And then he had a fiduciary duty to his teammates, to the owner of the Bulls. He had a fiduciary duty to the fans that paid for tickets, right? Like when you totally internalize the sense of obligation and responsibility that we have as real estate agents, the activities, that's where the joy is, right? It's so nice to go to the bank and cash a check, but you know, that's a byproduct of being obsessed with the activities and being obsessed with the behaviors. Now, I heard a lot of people on this call today that were sharing some of their goals about doing open houses this coming weekend. When you plan ahead, you're taking control of the fiduciary responsibility, right? When you're not reactive to what you're doing and you're proactive, right? Being reactive is a functionary responsibility, right? We talked about it on our morning script and role play call at 8 o'clock this morning, that like waiting tables. If you want to take orders, then your income is going to be on par or equal to what an order taker is going to make for income. If you want to serve others and create an amazing experience for them, your income is endless, right? When I waited tables, I always made more money than anybody else that was waiting tables in the same restaurant. For those of you that are doing open houses this weekend, and you've identified your goal today is to identify the open house that you're going to sit this weekend, I am so thrilled to hear that, because you're taking control, you're being proactive, you're coming from fiduciary, because when you identify your open house for Saturday or Sunday, the responsibilities that you have during the week to know exactly what that property is worth, what it's competing with, what other listings are going on in the neighborhood. You have all week to prepare for that so that you can have success on the open house, right? So our daily activities, our daily behaviors, the habits that we have, you know, those are, you got to be obsessed with these things, right? So so right here, what successful agents do every day, grow their business. Number one, lead generate for buyers and sellers. Lead generate for buyers and sellers. So we role play that out all the time. If you're going to be sitting a listing open house on the weekend, circle prospecting around the neighborhood for your open house, right? And we could role play that out, but you're calling the neighbors and you're saying, hey, I'm excited. I'm going to be hosting an open house in your neighborhood. Do you know anybody else that might be thinking about buying or selling in the near future, right? So you're lead generating for buyers and sellers is simply a part of the activities that you have as a fiduciary to your business, right? It shouldn't be a chore. It shouldn't be something that you are afraid of. You've got to embrace it because it's a fiduciary activity. You're lead generating for buyers and sellers. And we do it every day, all day long, right? And we do it at different levels. There's different ways of lead generating for buyers and sellers. Tons of ways, and we can get into those things. But you got to, mindset's important. Understanding that in order to grow your business, you have to be lead generating every single day, right? And all that means is that you can't be a secret agent, right? You've got to determine that if this is where you're going to derive your income from, you're not going to be a secret agent. See, where I have an issue with part-time real estate agents is they become full-time the moment they take a listing or have a client. Like we're all part-time, we're all unemployed when we're not working with a buyer or a seller, right? Everybody is. But the moment you have a buyer or a seller, that's a full-time responsibility. It's a full-time fiduciary duty. Now you can leverage some of those activities by saving searches so that when something new comes on the market or a price reduction or back on the market, then you're notified. It's a little passive. It's not real aggressive. You're waiting for the market to give you something instead of you taking something out of the market. And I better plug this computer in or we're going to have a real problem here in a minute.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The type A in me has been watching that, and I was getting real close to sending you a text.
Oh my gosh! Plug it in.
We wouldn't have let you go all the way down. I was like, do I text Tina or Andrew?
I have a backup right next to me. So
there we go.
I can log on my backup and we'll be just fine. And my backup already has the slides. I'm already ready to go.
Love it.
Right?
Always prepared.
Always be prepared. Always be prepared, right? Like, and so your activities, your behavior, your habits, the daily routine, the rhythm that you got to get into real estate is so important, right? Let's talk about lead generating for buyers and sellers. The first thing in the morning when you wake up. What do we do at BVO? Tori, what do we do first thing in the morning?
Check your hot sheet.
Check your hot sheet. So check your hot sheet. If you're not checking your hot sheet, it would be like going to a stockbroker, calling your stockbroker and saying, hey, can you tell me how my portfolio is doing today? I'm a little concerned. Well, I haven't looked at the market in a few days, but let me get back to you and do some research. Versus your stockbroker calling you and saying, hey, I've got some really exciting news. Something happened today that I want to tell you about, and I think it might be something worthwhile. Right? Running your hot sheet is so important, right? Very, very important for you to know exactly what's going on every single day in the market, running your hot sheet. I run my hot sheet 2 to 3 times every day. It's a habit, it's a cadence, it's a rhythm. I'm obsessed with it, right? I'm obsessed with these activities. So number 1, lead generate for buyers and sellers. So many ways of doing that, right? So if you don't have buyers and sellers, then you're lead generating for buyers and sellers. It's interesting. Let's read this sentence again. Lead generate for buyers and sellers. Are you lead generating for the buyers and sellers you have? Or are you lead generating for future buyers and sellers that you want to have? Well, it's all the same activity. Every conversation leads to an opportunity, right? Every conversation leads to an opportunity where you can find a buyer or a seller. And when you're lead generating for an existing client, you're never lying to anybody, right? So if you've got a listing or you're doing an open house and you're circle prospecting, then your script is on. When you're honest about the things that you say them with more conviction. You're more passionate about it. You internalize what it is that you're saying to people when you're honest about what you're saying. You never have to remember anything you tell anybody when you're honest about what it is that you're saying. And the only way to be honest is to be an expert, to be knowledgeable, to have information and facts. The other way to be honest is to say, I'm not exactly sure about that, but let me check back and I'll let you know, right? So always being honest. Lead generating for buyers and sellers is just something that happens. It should happen all day, every day, no matter what. Number 2, make seller listing presentations and get listings. 100%. Right? Every time you're circle prospecting around your open house, you're calling people and that's a listing presentation. That's a listing presentation. Hey, hi, Mr. Homeowner. My name's Andrew Bloom. I'm going to be doing an open house around the corner from you, Saturday, 12 to 4. I wanted to see if you could stop by. I want to show you what's going on in the neighborhood. By the way, when do you think you might be interested in selling? Right? So all of this becomes making seller listing presentations and getting listings. 3, make buyer presentations and get listings. It's the same activity. It's the same behavior. It's like taking a train from one part of the country to the other. It stops along the way, but it's one direction. It's one route, right? This thing, you don't have to learn a lot about real estate when you stay on course from point A to point B. All you're doing is stopping at one stop and then you're going to the next stop. But once you're on the train, once you paid for the ticket, once you're heading to your destination, you're on your way, you're there, you're going. Preview real estate. What I could tell you is when you're doing an open house on Saturday or Sunday and you've identified the neighborhood and the house that you're going to sit on Monday, what are you going to do during the week? You're going to go preview the houses in the neighborhood. And let me tell you, the way that we do things at BVO right? When somebody walks into our open house and we greet those people, we have a standard script and we ask them 2 questions. Thanks for coming to the open house today. Did you see the house online or do you live in the neighborhood? Well, I live in the neighborhood. Great. If you don't mind, I promised our seller we give them feedback as soon as the open house is over. So here's a little questionnaire you can take around the house with you, and I'll catch up with you in a few minutes. Does that sound okay? Great. We had a role play this morning just like that, and Patricia said that she was looking for a really nice lot in the neighborhood. Well, as the expert, knowing I was going to do an open house on Saturday or Sunday, I went around and I previewed the 4 listings that I was competing with, and lo and behold, one of those is on a premium lot, right? So why do we preview real estate? So that we have knowledge, we have expertise. So when somebody walks into our open house, we can say, oh, I'm sorry, this lot's a little too small for you, but did you see the house on Smith Street? Right? I happened to see it yesterday preparing for my open house. It's on a really special lot. I'm done here around 4 o'clock. Would you like to go see it at 4:30 with me? Right? So previewing real estate allows you to gain knowledge and be the expert. So, these things are all broken out like by little line items. The reality is it's all one activity. So don't let it overwhelm you. Right? It's all the same activity. It's all the same behavior. It's all the same thing. It's not 4 different things that you need to do. It's one thing that checks all 4 boxes, right? It's one activity that checks all 4 boxes. That's what makes this business so beautiful. Running your business. Market seller listings. You have a fiduciary responsibility to market seller listings. By marketing seller listings, you're going to pick up other seller listings and you're going to pick up buyers, right? One activity leads to multiple results. Show buyers houses. Make sure that you're time blocking your schedule when you're showing buyers houses for a couple different things. One, you always want to avoid showing buyers houses over a long period of time that interacts with lunch, because then you're buying them lunch. So show them houses from 9 to 11. Show them houses from 1 to 3. Show them houses from 2 to 4, right? If you're concerned about that you don't have enough money to buy your own lunch, how are you going to feel if you take a buyer out from 10 to 2 and you didn't feed them, right? So when you think about showing buyers houses in your schedule, one, you want to keep your schedule fairly open so that you can have opportunities that might come up that you could plug in before or after those showings. But be strategic about your schedule, right? I mean, it's really important. I can guarantee if you're spending time with a buyer from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, at some point they're going to go, I'm getting really hungry. And you're like, well, shoot, I don't have any money in my, my checking account. I hope are they going to pay? Are we going Dutch? I mean, I wasn't going to eat because I didn't have any money. Now I got to pay for them. So it's about these activities. And you guys, Jackie's shaking her head yes, because she knows I'm being serious. Like, I'm not joking about this. Like, I'm being 100% serious that when you look at your schedule and you're scheduling time to show buyers, make sure that you're taking these 2 things into consideration. Is one, I want to keep my schedule nimble and flexible in case I have another buyer or listing presentation or something else that comes up. And 2, I want to make sure that I plug my buyer into a time slot that allows us to write an offer if they find a house they like, go back to another property. If you're going to plan a long day and show 10 homes and you're going to do lunch, make sure you just give yourself enough time, right? It's just really important. Previewing listings that you're going to show a buyer is also really important. Now today online, we can do a lot of research about listings. I always go to Monsoon on every listing that I'm going to show, and I want to see where the property is in relationship to the neighborhood. Does it back a busy street? Is it under a power line? What can I tell or see that I don't see in the photos that have been hidden, right? Are there 2-story homes lurking behind the single level house that I'm showing my buyers, right? These are the things you want to point out. So, running your business showing buyer homes might look like just something on paper, But the truth is there's an art to it, and master the art of real estate. 3, negotiating contracts. You know, on our team, we start negotiating contracts before the house is shown. So here's what that's supposed to look like on our team. It doesn't always happen this way, but in an ideal situation, you want to take control of the real estate transaction before the transaction starts. So here's a tip on that, negotiating contracts. If you have a listing and you're using showing time and you're only using showing time, you're probably not in a position of power. The other agent is in control. They know everything about your seller. They know what they paid. They know what they bought it. They could Google the seller, and you know nothing about the buyer. You're at a complete disadvantage in negotiating the contract. Number 3 on running your business. So let me give you a tip. You get a showing time request for 2 o'clock this afternoon, and you pick up the phone and you call the agent and say, hey, thank you. I wanted to confirm the 2 o'clock. I just have a quick question. Is your buyer local or are they relocating? Okay, somebody want to respond? Pretend to the other agent? Is your buyer local? Pardon me?
They're local.
Oh, that's great, Jackie. Do they have a house for sale or do you already have it in escrow?
They have a house for sale.
Oh, they do? Great. Okay, excellent. How long's that been on the market?
It's been on the market for about a week, and we have about 5 showings, 2 more scheduled for tomorrow.
Gosh, I'm always looking for new listings for my buyers. Where's their home located?
They are located in Fountain Hills.
Okay, awesome. Excellent. So they're not in a position to buy before they sell?
No, they're not.
Okay, great. Well, listen, we've got an open house going on Friday from 12 to 2. Do you think that would be a convenient time to go by, or is today at 2 o'clock the only time available?
They prefer today at 2.
Okay, all right, great. Well, let me check with my seller. I'll get back to you right away. So what are we doing? We're right now we know, now we're in control, right? We're in control as the listing agent to go to our sellers and say, hey, but what would happen if I simply just accepted the showing time request, right? Like what kind of a fiduciary duty am I performing as an agent, right? Now, when Jackie shows the house and then I text her afterwards, right? You don't have to call her again. She's already surprised that you called her the first time. She's already like, oh my God, wow. Like I never hear from agents. Oh my gosh. Like, okay, this agent knows what they're doing. They're in control, right? And then you text it, hey, Jackie, I just wanted to get some feedback on that showing. I hope everything went well. Yeah, it went really well, Andrew. I think we're going to write an offer. Oh, that's awesome. By the way, my seller is relocating. We'd really prefer to use Mercy Period Fidelity Title. Would that be okay? Oh, sorry, I probably should. We'd really prefer to use True North Title due to my seller's relocation. Okay. No problem. We really love the house. We want to write an offer. We're happy to use the title company. Great. Now, if I put in my listing, please use TNT Title, the agent, the buyer's agent's already defensive before they've even scheduled the showing, right? Because buyer agents want to please their title reps. They want to please their title companies. They want to maintain that relationship. If they've never done a deal, they want to bring that first deal to their title company. If they always do deals, they want to bring it to the title company. Well, let me ask you a question. If my seller's moving from Scottsdale to Tempe, are they relocating? Yes. Right? So I didn't lie. Yes, they're relocating. They want to use their title company. They're relocating. They're not going to stay in the house after you buy it. Right? Most agents think relocation means they're moving out of state and they're tied to a relocation package. Well, no, they're not tied to a package. They're relocating. So they want to use this title company, right? So negotiating contracts means that you're the one asking questions so that you can be in control of the transaction. Now, it may not seem like a big issue to you, but when you have 14 escrows going and they're at 14 different title companies, you're probably going to have a pretty irritated transaction coordinator, or you're going to be running around scrambled like chicken with your head cut off. So controlling your business is really, really important. Negotiating contracts, number 3 right there, is about controlling your business, right? When we waited tables, we always said, work your station, don't let your station work you, right? Right, so plan ahead. Number 4, transaction management to closing. We just touched on this. Control your business. Control your business. Vendor management. Number 5, running your business every day. Yes, you've got to do that. Now, through Command, we're going to be able to set up our vendors, and we'll be able to provide clients with landing pages to our favorite vendors. Running your business. Number 6, setting goals. What I find is that most agents aren't setting realistic goals, right? Their goals don't meet their activities. There's not a match, right? Now, some agents say sometimes your goals are not in alignment with what the results can actually be because you're not following the model, right? When you start following the models and you understand conversion rates, and you understand the difference between a METS database and a not METS database, you can understand what those conversion rates look like. So I'll give you an example. If you want to farm 200 doors so that you could sell 50 houses a year, you're never going to achieve that goal, right? It's nearly impossible to have that kind of, you just can't, because mathematically, 200 homes is only going to lead to 20 transactions in the community. And if it leads to 20 transactions a year, the chances of you having 100% market share are pretty slim. Right? So setting clear goals requires understanding the numbers, right? How many contacts do I need to make to lead to a conversion? How many conversions or conversations do I need to have to lead to a transaction? How many transactions do I need to pen in order to close? Right? So setting realistic goals is extremely important. What are you willing to do to hit those goals? What are your activities? What are the things that you're doing so that you can hit the goals that you set? So setting realistic goals are really important. Looking at the budget model, right? If your intent is to leverage your time by leveraging resources to help you prospect or farm or run ads for buyers, you need to look at, hey, if you've got no money, chances are you're going to be forced into doing activities that are no cost. Open houses, door knocking, circle prospecting, right? Those things. So you just got to be very realistic with what your goals are. Number 7, compliance and risk management. Wow, I tell you, this is this is really, really important. This is why we're at Keller Williams, right? Keller Williams is a training and coaching company. Here's the interesting thing. If you're brand new in the business, Keller Williams is a great place for you to get training and coaching. If you've been in the business for 25 years and you've sold over $1.5 billion in residential sales, like me, Keller Williams is a great place for training and coaching, right? There's every step in the opportunity map, right? There's an opportunity map within Keller Williams that says, hey, I'm starting off here and my goal is to get here. What activities and what kinds of things do I need to do in order to get there, right? I've learned more in the last 5 years being associated with Keller Williams training and coaching than I did in the first 20 years of my business, right? I'm learning at a higher level. Oh, that's Thomas. I saw Melissa's name underneath Thomas and I thought, okay, Thomas put a shirt on. So you look good though, buddy. So set realistic goals. Oh, compliance and risk management. It's just important, right? Take as many MLS classes and contract classes as you can in the beginning of your career or right now, right? When's the best time to plant a tree, right? Well, I mean, 20 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. It's the same thing with compliance and risk management. Learn as much as you can right now. Grow the biggest, amount of knowledge possible with compliance and risk management. 8, attend training and get coaching. All right, well, that's for everybody, right? We all have to do that. You've got to budget in your time. We're doing all the time. And, on the front end of your career, as soon as you've got to start planning for taxes, right? I mean, taxes are important for you to be able to understand how that works as a real estate practitioner. So anyway, that's that slide. Anybody have any questions? We're good? All right. We're good. I'm good. Let's see. All right. Here we go. Here we are. Slide number 3. Okay, grow your business, run your business. We just spent some time on that. Set weekly and daily objectives, right? You guys have gotten a pretty good dose of that this morning already, but that's really important. And one of the things that I did yesterday, which I'm not very good at, is taking Sunday to make sure that you're setting proper weekly and daily objectives, right? I did a whole speech yesterday on the top of Gateway Mountain that said, is Sunday your day, the end of your weekend or the start of your week, right? Is Sunday the end of your weekend or the start of your week? And I'd like to think that it's both. In Keller Williams, we use the word and a lot more than we use the word or, right? It's always an and conversation at Keller Williams, right? So Sunday for me yesterday was the end of my weekend and the first day of my week. And I was able to sit down and go through my calendar and identify all my weekly goals and objectives. And I tell you, it just right into this creates accountability. Right into this creates accountability. The having accountability partners is very important. On our team, let me tell you, at Keller Williams Arizona at 6:30 in the morning, we get on the call with DavidMorse for our Miracle Morning work. That's accountability. Your schedule is accountability. I wrote down something the other day that I absolutely loved, and I've heard it several times, and that was, I can find it, structure, freedom, right? Is the quote structure? Is it structure, discipline? Discipline is freedom. I'm trying to think of where I wrote that down. You know, when you're obsessed with your schedule, you're obsessed with these activities, it actually creates more freedom for you. It creates more freedom in your head because you're obsessed with good activities. Like nothing else. What do you substitute for great activities? Right? Just learning more, right? Learning how to overcome objections, learning the market. But when you've got great activities in your weekly schedule, you don't have to overcompensate for anything. It's really clear. I mean, it's, yes, Dina?
What tool could we use that might help you keep on track?
I think we can do that in a few minutes. It's a few slides down, about slide number 7. We're going to talk about some of the Keller Williams tools that we have.
Gotcha.
The
Okay, I didn't know
135
that
and the
was down there.
411. It's okay. Yeah. I went through this. This is my 3rd time going through this presentation. Although I know I feel like I could have written it. So the recap and odds, the cadence to our team, we check in at 8:30 in the morning. From 8:30 to 8:45, we set our goals, and then we recap at 3:30 in the afternoon how we do. Right? You have time for reflection. Daily successful habits, right? Grow and run your business through daily successful habits. Think about Michael Jordan. Think about all of the, you know, the famous athletes or dancers or figure skaters or Olympic winners. You know, identify with somebody that really resonates with you, and then think about their activities and their behaviors. If you compete at that level, you're just super obsessed with what you're doing, right? And in order to be obsessed with what you're doing, you have to love what you do. And you can't love what you do if you're not creating consistent habits, right? If you've got good habits, it's easy to fall in love with what you're doing. Because it doesn't feel like work, right? It's just, these are activities that you're absolutely in love with, whether it's running and hiking or reading. You know, I'm seeing firsthand, my entire team is growing by leaps and bounds, and mostly I'm seeing it in their spiritual life. Not religious, but spiritual, their spirituality, the peace that they have in their mind. I mean, I'm so blessed. I get to look at this Zoom. I get to see these names and faces, and I'm looking at Peter, and I'm looking at Tori, and I'm looking at other agents on my team. And the joy that I have knowing that they're growing because they're obsessed with the culture that we have, right? The culture of success, the culture of accountability, the culture of high performance, right? And you could see it in their personal lives. I'm reading a book right now with Dina Stevens called The Founder and Force Multiplier. And in that book, Adam Hergenrother talks about, if it's in this, well, I got more books going, I got more notes and books and reading and stuff going on than I could even imagine. What they talk about is, where's my other book? Is that it, guys? Boom, boom, boom. It's in here. What Adam talks about in his book is living a life of what, Dina? What's it called? I wrote it down and let me find it. Let me see where I have it. Thank you, sweetheart. All right. The Founder and Force Multiplier. Not on this one either. I'll get back to it. I'll find it here in a minute. Let's go on to the next slide. Right? This is it. People do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. Right? I mean, it just makes sense. People do not decide their futures. They decide their habits. What are you willing to commit to? Are you willing to be obsessed about what you're doing? I wish I knew where my okay, I'll see if it's on here. Will you look through here real quick? Okay, let's go to the next slide. Boom. Okay, overview. What are the key activities that need to be on your calendar? You know, it's interesting. Jackie just came from the New England area, right, Jackie?
I'm Chicago. That was David.
Oh, you're Chicago. Same difference. Same difference. What I mean by this is if you think about the time zone,
yes.
If you think about the fact that we're getting up at, like, look at this schedule, 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, that's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. And I can't help but to think about when I get up in the morning that my colleague East Coast 3 hours at head start. I'm 3 hours behind. I feel that way every day. Like I'm 3 hours behind if I don't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm 3 hours behind my colleagues that have already spent hours polishing their skills and working on their schedules and pouring into learning and growth. And, you know, if you want accountability, jump on Zoom calls that start at 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning here, that's 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, right? When I get into, when I jumped onto the Facebook Pivot Facebook today, and it was already an hour and a half into a live stream, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm missing out, right? So, you know, get up in the morning. I have been addicted to the activities and behaviors of early morning rituals since the day I got into this business. You know, I don't let my feet hit the ground until I run my hot sheet and I'm into it and I'm, you know, just right away jumping into it. So working on your schedule is really important. And, you know, this is, you know, I don't know, 8 to 8:30 in the morning, 8:30 to 11:30 daily success habits of lead generation, and then lunch. You didn't find it? I don't necessarily agree with some of those things. Okay.
Tell us what your typical day looks like, Andrew.
Well, sure, absolutely. So if I go into my notes and I go into daily rhythm, okay, what's my daily rhythm? Did I do that wrong? Let's pull it up for you. So in my notes.
You see a little screen.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. This is Babs's notes. Yeah. I'm on Babs's computer, so it won't be in there. Okay, so here's the deal. When prior to the pandemic, I would get up at 4:30 in the morning or 4:15, and Babs and I would be at Orange Theory at 5 a.m. We get home at 6 o'clock. I barely have enough time to get in the shower because then at 6:30 in the morning now, right? I'm on Miracle Morning. I may have enough time after Miracle Morning that ends at 7. If it's not on Tuesdays, which is Jackie's workout, then I'm jumping in the shower, I'm getting ready, and then I'm jumping right into massive activities. Can you do this? I got leads, I got referrals coming in left and right. I just got another referral from Boston, Massachusetts, from Brian Snow, Plainville, Mass. Anybody know Brian Snow? Okay, so Brian just texted me, says, Andrew, this is Brian Snow from Keller Williams Elite in Plainville, Mass. I have a referral I'd like to send to you. Confirm your area, give me a call. You can hear those, please. That's because I've been obsessed with calling other agents or contributing outside of Arizona to build these relationships. And Dina, we're getting 1 to 2 referrals a week that are coming into our organization because I'm obsessed with contributing to agents outside of our market center, right? I mean, there's a compound effect. You know, have you guys all read the Compound book, Compound Effect?
Actually, I have. Yeah.
There's a compound effect to these activities and this behavior that we do, right? It's like working out at the gym. You know, if you work out every now and then, you're not going to see the results. If you're consistent with your activities and your behaviors over a period of time, this compound effect of those activities is going to lead to massive results, right? So for my schedule, I've already run my hotkeys, checked my emails, checked my text messages, followed up on leads, posted on Facebook, all by 7 o'clock in the morning, every day, right? By 7 a.m. I'm eating a healthy breakfast. You know, I had a really nice nectar smoothie this morning that I drank. And, you know, I'm eating healthy. I'm, for the most part, clean living, kind of. And so, you know, being obsessed with your schedule is really important. I mean, it's nonstop. And you have to, you know, as your business grows, you have to create leverage. And it's very, very, very important to leverage activities in the transaction to your team, to your transaction coordinator, to other peers or partners that you have in the market center. You're not in business alone. There's no such thing as a solo agent. Being a solo individual agent means that you are going to lack fiduciary service to your client. Because there's no way any one human being can do everything all the time for everybody. And it's just impossible. And you don't even want to operate that way. Have a relationship with a transaction coordinator. Even if you've only got one file, you know, have somebody else that can dot the I's and cross the T's and make sure that something doesn't get dropped, right? That's fiduciary care. That's being involved. That's giving you an ability to be able to, you know, if you have to step away for a day or step away from a situation where you've got backup, right? Where you have backup. That's really, really important. Running your business, your weekly schedule, what that looks like. On our team, you're required to set your open house schedule 6 to 7 days in advance. And it just allows you to fill in the gaps all week of when you're going to preview, when you're going to run your CMA, you know, how you're going to put your collateral material together. I loved hearing the 2 agents today that talked about planning their open house for next weekend and actually having the consciousness to know that they needed to set that goal today, Monday, because it just creates a cadence, right? Cadence, rhythm, symmetry, harmony. These are all terms that describe my real estate practice and my real estate team, right? We have a rhythm, we have a cadence, there's a harmony, it's beautiful, right? It should be beautiful. It's not chaotic. It's not disorganized, you know. Now, are things perfect? Nobody's perfect. They're, you know, unless you're Sarah Reynolds. But if you're not Sarah Reynolds, right? If you're not making $1 million a month in GCI, right? And I can guarantee you that Sarah Reynolds doesn't think her business is perfect, you know. But every day pouring into your business, pouring into growth, right? On our team, we have 3 core values, right? Stay humble, stay hungry, stay curious. Stay humble, stay hungry, stay curious. And I'll tell you, as I start to learn more about life and these things, curiosity is probably one of the most important. They're all three extremely equal. Being curious, being learning based, knowing that you have so much more to learn that you already know, will just take your business further, right? Always stay curious. If you're going to be sitting a listing open in DC Ranch or Greyhawk or McDowell Mountain Ranch, anything that's got a community center, right? Go by the community center, research it online, understand the fees and the dues and the transfer fees and the HOAs and what does it pay for and what doesn't it pay for and the school district zones. And right, you've got to, that's why you don't want to jump around from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood every week, sitting different open houses. Stick with it. Master what you're doing so that you're providing a high level of fiduciary care. Take the responsibility of that listing on until it sells and become a master of it. And once you become a master of it, chances are by mastering the neighborhood, it's going to lead to another opportunity in the neighborhood, right? So it's not like you're learning just for learning's sake. You're learning because it's growing your business. Because the activities that you do to learn, previewing listings, circle prospecting, visiting neighborhood resources, all of those things, building up your knowledge base is going to lead to another transaction. All business begets more business if you're handling your business professionally, right? It just grows. It's impossible for it not to grow. I look at Tori, who took a $3 million listing with me in Moon Valley a year ago. And how many transactions has that turned into for you, right? 3 or 4.
Right.
Even Melissa, who's been in the business for a lot of years and knows what she's doing and is extremely competent, took a listing in a community in Chandler that's turned into what, 4 or 5 transactions. Melissa, right?
Right. And actually, to get back to your open house, when I went back to do the listing appointment for another owner, they came into my original open house and said, yeah, we were actually just came to interview you and was watching everything that I was doing and talking to the guests that came in. So it was interesting. So you're always being interviewed with owners that come in.
You're always on stage. It's always a performance. You're always being interviewed. And when they come into your open house and you have knowledge of the neighborhood and you have competency about what you're doing, the conversation just becomes very simple. They want to know that they can trust you, and you've demonstrated it because you have knowledge of what's going on. It's your schedule should be dictated by your fiduciary duty. If you have an open house on Saturday, you have a fiduciary duty all week long to prospect for that seller, find them a buyer, and gain knowledge and competency about the community that you're going to be doing that open house in, and it will lead to bigger results for you. Gigi, you've been on the team for a month?
Yep, a month.
You've got 1 transaction in escrow?
Yep, 1 in escrow and a rental.
Good.
And about 5 or 6 prospective buyers that you've picked up as a result of having 1 listing, right?
Yes, it's been amazing.
Because you're fishing with the right bait, right? You're fishing with the right tools. You've got, you're gaining knowledge, you're gaining credibility, your conversations are going to flow, So we have a saying on our team. It's the 4 C's of real estate, right? Competency increases your conversion. Nope, I did that wrong. Competency increases your confidence, which increases your conversion rate, which increases your cash flow. Competency increases your confidence. It's not the other way around. If you're confident without any competence, you're egomaniac, right? You're just egocentric. Right? If you're so confident, but you have no knowledge about what you're doing. Tyson sent me a picture the other day. He took his motorcycle apart in 1,000 pieces. I would never get on that bike again if it was mine. Right? I would never get on that bike again. You forget 1 bolt, you're screwed. You're done, right? So your competency increases your confidence, not the other way around, right? You can't pretend to be confident unless you have the right knowledge and information. So your weekly schedule is there to build your competency, which increases your confidence, which increases your conversion rate, which increases your cash flow. Does that all make sense?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know what, this is the same slide, right, Jackie?
Yeah, you can keep going.
Okay, your 411 action goal worksheet, right? These tools that we have at Keller Williams are there to make sure that you've got a cadence and a rhythm to what you're doing and how you're doing it, right? So if your annual goal is to close 25 real estate transactions and your monthly goal is to close 3, and then your weekly goal is to close 1, right? So in order to close 1, you've got to book an open house. Now you've booked an open house. What are those activities associated with doing that open house? And those activities are going to lead to more conversations. And those conversations are going to lead to more conversion rates. And those conversion rates are going to lead to more cash flow. It is, you know, it's funny. Seth Campbell, who's one of the most brilliant minds in our industry and in our company, Seth Campbell, says that this business is simply a mathematical checkmate. If you think with logic, right? If you behave with intention, this is simply a mathematical equation. Like, it's impossible to fail and to come up with the wrong answer if you're plugging in the right numbers, right? It's all math. It's all, the reason I fell in love with this business is because I didn't need to be, I didn't need to be the smartest guy about everything. I just needed to be the smartest guy about what I was working on at the moment, right? And when I mastered what I was working on at the moment, I naturally began to have better conversations with people. What I can tell you and what I see on my team is that everybody on my team is having better conversations with people because they're increasing their competency, right? So their confidence goes up, right? Gigi, if I sent you into Gaining Ranch today on your own, how would you feel about going into that environment today versus a month ago?
A month ago, I didn't know much about Gaining Ranch other than the Hyatt. And now I've researched the HOA. I know the HOA fees. I know what houses are for sale in the area. I know what's under contract and how fast things are moving. And I didn't have a clue about Gaining Ranch a month ago.
Nice.
Yeah. So what you've done is you've increased your competency. Right? Now, let me tell you something. It doesn't cost any money to learn something, right? It doesn't cost you any money to increase your competency, which increases your confidence, which increases your conversion rates, which increases your cash flow. It just makes sense, right? It's just really simple. Using this 411 action goal worksheet, if you simply break it down and to the point where you know that you've got to do 1 to 2 to 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 open houses a week in order to hit your numbers, right? But you're sitting open houses in all of these different neighborhoods and all these different areas. There's inconsistency with your routine and your schedule. There's inconsistency. You're putting so much information into your head at one time, you can't manage it, right? So you got to be obsessed with what you're doing. You've got these tools that we have, this 411 action goal sheet. Dina, does anybody want to share their 411?
You know what, I don't know if I can pull it up, but what I can share is that, you know, you start with the end game in mind, and then you have a certain number of what you want to do. And so that's going to be your top goal. And then you just back it out monthly. How many calls you're going to need to make, because you know how many calls it takes to get one listing or one appointment. So you just back everything out. So you just have easy goals. Like, you know, you have 10 people you have to call on Monday. And so breaking it down into small little pieces makes it mindless to do the work. It's when you look at the big picture that it's really scary, but the tiny little picture, super easy. Anyway.
Yeah, I think something to be said, like mine's right in front of me, mine's in front of my face all day, every day, in front of like what I look at. But I think something that I know the PCX team, we've talked about is success is boring, right? So my 411, like the annual goal, the monthly goal, they're similar. My weekly goals are very similar because I know by completing the certain tasks that I have, those tasks are the ones that are going to, my big activities that produce the biggest results. So that's what's going on my 411. And I think that's been a lot of conversation we've all had as a team. Like, you know, it doesn't mean just because I'm on week 2, I have to create something different from week 1. I don't have to necessarily create it. I just need to repeat it or pivot if it wasn't working.
Success is mundane repetition, right? Boredom repetition. And Gary talks about it all the time. Very few people are willing to master boredom repetition, right? And for me, it was never, the activities were never boring. So, you know, mundane, routine, prospecting, circle pro, you know, the activities just, you know, you got to have a love. You just got to have a love for it. You can't have a love for it without results. You need to get results, but the only way you get results is to be consistent, right? So you have to master that. How do your weekly goals translate into daily objectives, right? So for those of you that were on the call that said, I'm going to be doing an open house Saturday or Sunday, it's real simple. Now you know your daily objectives. What do you need to do? Well, we have it. I don't know. I've got to pull up my daily rhythm. All right. I'll just pull it up, but I'll get it. I'll get to it. And, keep responding to these. We'll get to it, but we have a daily rhythm, and it's very, very important. So we won't get into the specifics on how to complete your 411. I don't think that's the purpose in this. The idea is that we have the tools within Keller Williams so that you can track those activities that are leading to the results that you want to get, right? Does anybody else want to share their 411 with the rest of the group here? Anybody? Nope. Okay. So let's keep moving on. The 80-20.
You know, Andrew, you have about 10 minutes before Kate comes on to go over contracts. So just so you have an idea of time.
Awesome. Commit to the 80-20 principle. There's a predictable imbalance of life. It's called the 80-20 principle, right? 20% of your effort leads to the biggest results. When we heard somebody earlier talk about their 3 big rocks, right? Like really focusing on the most important things at hand, and then let the other 80% work itself out, right? That's really the way, you know, this Pareto principle works, and we're all familiar with that. I want to get through this quickly. Set your objectives. Translate your weekly goals into daily objectives, right? That they're timely, identifiable, metric-driven, attainable, purposeful, right? I mean, those are breaking those daily activities down. Running your hot sheet. Really, really important, because what happens when you run your hot sheet is it triggers information in your head that you can associate with potential buyers and sellers. Become a master of the market, right? That's really what that talks about. Become a master of the market. Time blocking. Boy, I tell you what, my schedule these days looks a lot different than it did a couple of years ago. I mean, it's time blocked. We've got, I mean, everything's in there. I'm sharing my calendar with the team. I've got reminders to breathe. I've got reminders to relax. I've got reminders to make certain calls to certain people at certain times of the week. Really fall in love with time blocking in your schedule, because controlling your schedule is what's going to allow you to manage a real estate career. And then that goes through that again. Be accountable. I'm preaching to the choir here, of course, because you guys are all on this call. Accountability is an attitude and an approach. I like to say that your attitude determines your latitude, right? The higher attitude you have, the higher success you're going to have in your business, right? Your attitude dictates your latitude. Accountability is a tool for changing and achieving results. Accountability is a dynamic cycle, not a static concept, right? It these things are so important. Set your goals, do the activities, measure your results, evaluate the process, make adjustments. We're doing that every day at at the highest levels of production. These are the things that are taking place behind the scenes, right? And be passionate about it. Passion rules. Create a plan for accountability. Share your goals, right? We do that on our 8:30 Power Hour, right? What are your long, medium, and short-term goals? Share those with other people. Do a vision board, right? Put it on the wall. Share your vision board with people that you trust and care about so they can hold you accountable. Plan your check-ins. How often do you need to check in? What method of communication is that? What does that look like? Going through Ignite, being on these calls, being involved, right? Really taking responsibility for your career. Make a date, when and where you meet to check in. So for us, it's on our calendar. We have a bvoclassroom.com, and we know when we need to be there. What does that look like? And we invite people to our classroom, and they can, join us in this journey of accountability. And it's such a great thing. Ahas to achievement. All right, how has your thinking changed, and what ideas or mindsets were new? What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful to you today? And how will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take going forward? What tools, models, or system will you definitely use? How will you make you accountable? Would anybody like to share if they've pulled any nugget so far out of this?
Could you unshare your screen so we could see everybody, Andrew? I love having everybody just come off and share their ahas for you. So
there we go. Yeah.
It's a really good reminder to not do open houses all over the place. Try focus on areas, learn those areas really well instead of spreading myself too thin. That was a good reminder for sure.
Great, Greg. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else?
Mine is the same, actually. It's really nice. I've done open houses before, May started till about April 2nd week, and I was kind of going with whoever, wherever. But it seems like it's really important to learn a neighborhood and then go with that. It's awesome. Thank you.
Andrew, I thought your fiduciary duty to learning as much as you can about not only your seller, but the buyer, or reverse, if you're representing the buyer, learning as much as you can about the seller. So working it both ways and understanding as much as you can going into the deal.
Well, I love that. And I'll take this a step further for you. We've submitted reverse offers to several buyers over the last couple months with success. So what does that mean? We've had buyers represented by other agents look at our listings and not write offers, but we know the motivation, we know where they want to be, we know what they're looking for, and we've gone back to our sellers and said, hey, listen, we can't rely and depend on their agent to close the deal. What's a number that you got to have, and let's bring it back to them. And we're in escrow on a couple transactions right now because of that script. And we've gone back to the buyer's agents and go, look, we've talked to our sellers. We want to offer your buyer an exclusive price. Here's what it looks like. These are the terms. Would your buyer be interested in? And we've converted transactions as a result of that.
Yeah.
You can't really have those conversations if all you're doing is clicking confirm on a showing time request.
Yeah.
Right? You just can't engage like that. So, our industry is moving to, we're breeding agents that are much lazier. And if you can take advantage of the opportunity to grow and learn right here, it's just gonna set you apart, and it's gonna help you convert more opportunities, more transactions, and increase your fiduciary responsibility to your client. And I'll tell you, one of the things, we use these clipboards to get feedback for our sellers. Somebody else said it on the call. Melissa did. How many people are coming through our open houses that have a home to sell? This happens a lot. I'll have somebody come through my open house, and I say, listen, I promised my seller I would give them feedback from everybody that comes through, if you don't mind filling this out. So they're walking through the house. They're filling out the clipboard about their feedback of the showing. And you know what they're saying to each other? God, you know what? Our house is open today, and we don't have a clue what these buyers are thinking. I think we should really consider hiring this team. They're clearly different, right? So all of these activities, all these things we do for a reason. There's intention, there's purpose behind it. It's not just, it's not random, right? It's not random. The success that we have is not random. Do we get lucky on occasion? Absolutely, but luck is just simply a byproduct of preparation.
Can I ask a question about a previous negotiation item?
Sure.
You said something about title. I understand the buyer's agent had the right to, say which title to go to, or at least we believe that, right? How can we I heard you say something about that being a negotiating point, but what if the buyers don't care?
Well, it's real simple for us.
Right.
Legally, right? The buyers don't get to choose the title company. They only get to choose where they want to get their Alta policy.
Okay.
Right? Our seller's paying for the title insurance on a homeowner policy, right? Seller's coverage.
Yeah.
The seller has the right to get owner's policy coverage anywhere they want, period. That doesn't, the benefit the buyer has of working with the same title company as us is they get a discount on that Alta policy because the seller is already paying for an entire policy called the owner's policy.
Okay.
So listen, your buyer can go use any title company they want to obtain their Alta policy, but our sellers are they're gonna get their owner's policy through XYZ title company. We're just trying to make it easier and cheaper for your buyer. We're not gonna force you to use our title company to get your Alta policy, but it just makes more sense if you do it. You can't require us to get an owner's policy from where the buyer chooses to get their Alta policy. So, right, it's really the seller's choice as to where to get the owner's policy. So when you can't have this conversation when they're already defensive and they haven't even shown the house. Like if you put it in your private remarks, seller prefers XYZ title company. Well, that buyer's agent, the minute they show that house, they're already thinking, all right, this is going to be a fight and an argument. So we don't even present it until after the showing, right? And then
I don't have a listing, but I have a buyer. So I was asking from the buyer's perspective.
Yeah, typically as a buyer's agent,
yes,
you can finagle the listing agent to believe that it's the buyer's right as to where the seller should get owner's coverage, but it's just not true. A seller cannot force a buyer to get an Alta policy anywhere but where the buyer wants to go. But the buyer can't force the seller to get owner's policy wherever they want, right? And the owner's policy is a legal requirement in the contract, where an Alta policy is an elective policy by the buyer because they're choosing to get financing.
Right.
If you cash, there's no Alta policy, right?
Okay.
So we have a typed out script that we text to agents that says, hey, we know this is important to your buyer. However, we want the buyer to save money and have the best experience possible by using the same title company as the seller. But if they want to get their Alta policy somewhere else, they can. And we battle, and I tell you, when today we have a $4.1 million closing at our title company on our listing where the buyer's agent was insisting on using their title company, but because we have a better argument than they do, and we took control of the transaction from the beginning, we were able to direct it to where we wanted to direct it.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Whoa.
And say I can see you, Casey. I know they're trying to come on for the contract part. Any other comments, you guys? Ahas or anything for Andrew?
Okay, there you go.
I also loved what you said about the fiduciary when James came in and said that, Andrew. I also like, similar to you, I like how you kind of brought that to all aspects of life too, right? What's your fiduciary duty as a father, as a husband, as a brother, sister, wife? I thought that was really neat and a different perspective. So I really appreciate that. I thought that was awesome amongst all the other stuff, but I love that. Yeah. So thank you so much for spending your morning with us and letting us jump in on your power up and everything, and the whole BVO team. You guys, we really appreciate you all.
This video is brought to you by Keller Williams Arizona Realty TV. For other amazing real estate videos, check out the rest of our channel. If you like what you see, like and subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified with any new videos that come out.